Yesterday, Microsoft launched Windows 7 to much fanfare, and today it blew away Wall Street expectations with its earnings report. So how did it do it, and what's next for the software giant? Chief Financial Officer Chris Liddell joins us now live from Redmond, Washington. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
So Microsoft managed to report a smaller drop in profit after slashing costs to make up for falling sales. You decreased your operating expense forecast again. How are you able to keep cutting?
Yeah, the quarter was a story of two things. It was a good revenue quarter on a relative basis, but also a good cost quarter, as you mentioned. And I think that, use that expression, never waste a good crisis. With the crisis that we've seen, we took a very hard look at all our cost structure right across the company, and we were very early and very quick to respond to it last year, and that's continued. So we made the point, and I think people have embraced it across the whole company, that this is not a one quarter or a 2 quarter thing. This is going to be a way of life for us going forward. So I'm very heartened, certainly from a Chief Financial Officer point of view, that we are seeing a systematic approach to our costs on a continuous basis.
And you deferred more revenue than expected. So what does that say about early Windows 7 demand?
It's great. That's basically the message. Not only was the results in the quarter good from the Windows division, but as you say, the deferred revenue was stronger. So basically what we're seeing is the financial impacts of a very good early response to Windows 7. Now, clearly it's early days. We just launched it yesterday. But people, and the OEMs in particular, are embracing the product very much. We're seeing great consumer demand, great consumer reaction to the product with people who are testing it. So all of it is basically saying that we've got a wonderful product and people are liking it.
Chris, your stock buyback picked up last quarter. Should we expect that to continue, or are we going to get back to the point where the company was repurchasing 5, 6, or 7 billion shares every quarter?
Yeah, we don't predict on a quarterly basis how much we will buy, but what I've communicated consistently to Wall Street is once we got through the crisis, we would get back to a share buyback position, and we would essentially use all of our net free cash flow after dividends and capex and any acquisitions that we did.
Right.
We would target that at the share buyback. So people can expect us to be a consistent buyer, but it may differ on a quarter-by-quarter basis.
Well, when it comes to your search deal with Yahoo, is the company still expecting to close that deal next year?
It really depends on regulatory review, so we're in the hands of that. But subject to a positive regulatory response, then yes, the second half of our fiscal year, which is the first half of the calendar year next year, would be when we would start to implement it.
Do you see any impact from Bing in the online services revenue?
There won't be very much impact, virtually none at all, in this fiscal year from that particular transaction. We'll incur some of the costs, which will be startup costs, but you'll start to see the revenue impact in our fiscal year 11, which begins July 1 next year.
And broader question, Steve Ballmer has said over the last week he sees some chance of a double-dip recession. How likely do you think that is?
It's possible. Clearly, it's a scenario that's out there, and we're remaining relatively cautious. The quarter was great from a consumer point of view, but it's still relatively tough out there from the business point of view. Now, our base case is a slow, gradual recovery, so we're more optimistic than a double dip. But clearly, that possibility is out there. So one of the reasons why we've taken such a strong approach on costs is we're basically a bet each way. If the economy recovers, we'll see great margin contribution because we'll keep our costs flat. If we do see some sort of double dip or flat conditions for a long period of time, then we've tailored our costs to suit. So we're remaining relatively cautious, and hopefully we'll be positively surprised.
Chris Liddell, the Chief Financial Officer of Microsoft.